Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone to our webinar about better food choices, focusing on how front-of-pack communication can help build consumer trust with quality ingredients. Before we dive into the subject, we would like to thank all of our listeners for your interest and participation. In this international environment, we know many of you work in markets affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, which makes it quite challenging for everyone on so many different levels. With an increased number of people conducting their business online, you may experience more technical issues than usual. To help overcome such a situation, we have extra technical support on standby in this webinar and an email. Should you lose during the session, please know that the presentation will be recorded and available to view on demand for 3 months after the broadcast. Now let me quickly go over some practicalities. Today's webinar will take approximately 30 minutes and will be simultaneously broadcasted in English and Spanish. We will have about 25 minutes of presentation with a short Q&A slot at the end. Underneath the presentation on your screen, you can find a Q&A entry box where you can enter any questions you might have during this webinar. We will answer as many questions as possible, but please don't worry. If your particular question cannot be covered today, we will answer you personally afterwards. And for those of you that wish to receive our slides, we are happy to share the handouts with you. Just write your request in the same Q&A box. Today we have 2 speakers for you. Myself, Monica Holmes, as the expert in market intelligence, and Isabel Choch from the Beneo Technology Center. I will present market and consumer insights regarding nutrition and health messages that exist in different markets around the globe on front of pack, and how one can translate this specific trend into great business opportunities that serve our consumers well. After that, Isabel will showcase some of the existing methods regarding front of pack communication and labeling, and will give a few examples of how quality ingredients can make a difference and can provide clarity and value for the consumer. We hope to inspire you with our knowledge and solutions on this trending topic. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So now I'm going to focus on the most relevant aspects for consumers with regards to front-of-pack labeling. I will briefly discuss what consumers are looking for when reading labels, the challenges that they face, and what we see currently happening in the market. Lastly, I will outline the opportunities that exist for the industry to meet these consumers' demands. So, consumers' beliefs regarding nutrition and health are changing. Consumers are adopting a long-term approach to health management. They're wanting to reach their long-term goals, and as part of this approach, they're taking steps towards living a healthier lifestyle, which includes eating and drinking responsibly. They are driven not only to be responsible for themselves, but also for the planet. However, translating this into their daily eating habits is easier said than done, as they must navigate through an abundance of messages and information surrounding food and nutrition. On the other side, the rising prevalence of dietary-related diseases globally, such as diabetes and obesity, is driving health departments across the globe to pressure the food industry to take a more proactive role in supporting the health of their consumers by developing healthier food and drink alternatives. Globally, we see that consumers' attitudes surrounding healthy eating are shifting. They're becoming more and more aware of how their diet directly impacts their health, focusing more on preventative healthy eating with benefits for today and the future. Beneo conducted consumer research around the globe and saw that at least half of consumers in the Americas and Western Europe are aware that diet is important for health, while still trying to focus on finding a balance between the good and the bad. Furthermore, roughly a quarter of consumers in Europe and the Americas and 3/4 of Chinese consumers are not only aware of how important the diet is for health, but they also pay close attention to what they're eating, interested in new and healthy foods and ingredients. We see that less people are eating foods without considering the impact on health, and even fewer who are focused on foods due to a current medical condition. which again shows that preventative approach to health is relevant to consumers around the planet. As attitudes are changing, so are the interest in nutritional claims. However, the impact of how claims influence consumers' purchasing decisions differ based on the region. For example, in the U.S., there is more of a focus on high protein, low, no sugar, and low sodium. In France, low, no sugar, low fat, and high fiber is relevant, whereas in China, low fat and high protein, and in Brazil, low fat and no trans fat, as well as in low and no sugar is relevant, with vitamins and minerals being consistent among all regions. We know that a key reason for checking nutrition labeling is that consumers want to avoid chemicals, synthetics, and artificial ingredients. Consumers believe that these ingredients offer no nutritional value and are detrimental to their health. Natural claims are also important to consumers for a variety of reasons. They are something that will encourage consumers to pay a premium for products. Consumers see it as important that products are natural. This is because such products are deemed to be more guilt-free and also offer genuine nutritional value. As a result of this, consumers say they make conscious attempts to avoid ingredients that they dislike, do not recognize, or sound too chemical. We know that today's consumers are hungry for more information. As such, they will continue to become more attentive to the ingredients used in food products. Globally, 64% of consumers read labels on food packages, with over half stating they regularly read the ingredient list. More than 1 in 3 consumers also check for front-of-pack labeling systems, such as traffic light or Nutri-Score, showing a growing interest by consumers to understand how the foods and drinks they are consuming can support their health. So what are consumers looking for exactly on pack? Globally, consumers say they're looking at the ingredient list, nutrition information, as well as health and nutrition claims. While they may not look at these labels on every shopping occasion, they are trying to make more informed choices. In their efforts to be more informed, consumers are reading the packaging of the food and drinks they're purchasing and check labels on nutritional value and clean label messages. But there are so many different and often contradicting messages surrounding nutrition and health. Could an abundance of messages, logos, and claims be confusing or make it difficult for consumers to navigate the food aisle? The question often is, do consumers really understand what it all means? The answer is no, at least not entirely. Consumers are trying to be more informed. However, 76% of global consumers think there are many confusing messages about food, diet, and health. In part, this comes from an influx of messaging and information that consumers receive daily. If they're looking at labels, what does 10 grams of sugar mean, or 1 gram of sodium? Is that too low or too high? Should they be looking for low sugar or good carbs, low fat or low cholesterol, and what is with trans fat? How about high fiber or protein and low calorie? 69% of global consumers claim they find nutrition labeling confusing and want nutritional information to be as simple as possible. This is one of the main drivers for transparency. Using nutrition labels, logos, and messaging to increase transparency for consumers will continue to evolve, with brands facing increasing pressure by health authorities to display front-of-pack labeling schemes across their product ranges. Minto believes that front-of-pack nutrition labeling is one of the methods currently arising where brands can help to simplify consumer choices, build trust and loyalty among consumers by providing focus and clarity on labeling, ingredients, production methods, and compliance with new regulations, as well as offer solutions for a better lifestyle and healthier eating habits that align to national dietary guidelines, helping to be more informed about the foods and drinks they're consuming. Since 1989, there are systems showing up on the global market, where the last 10 years have shown a significant increase in labeling systems being picked up by more and more countries. Today, we're going to look at a small selection of on-pack systems from several areas worldwide, which were chosen together with our marketing contacts in each region. Particularly prominent front-of-pack nutrition labeling schemes are the UK's traffic light system, as well as France's Nutri-Score, which has extended to several other European countries. Governments and companies are initiating local solutions to help inspire healthier lifestyles. Let's have a quick look at the history of the most common front-of-pack labeling symbols. Basically, the oldest system is the so-called keyhole, which is a common system in northern European countries like Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. And it just celebrated its 30th birthday. This was followed then in the 2000s by Healthier Choice logo in Singapore and the traffic lights in the United Kingdom. To the more recent systems of the past 10 years, which count the US Facts Up Front, the Australian Health Star rating, and the more and more popular French Nutri-Score that becomes a greater attention also in other European countries. Today I'm just going to highlight two of the European systems, with Nutri-Score being the first. Nutri-Score came into force in October of 2017 in France. Since then, it has been approved for use in several other European countries, with awareness and interest in Belgium and Spain. What's interesting is that Nutri-Score in the Netherlands, although not officially to be launched until 2021, already has consumers interested. Several brands, such as Danone, have already launched the Nutri-Score system in countries such as Germany, with more EU launches planned. Nutri-Score is a community action example for healthier balance. We also see that these type of front-of-pack claims are important to get your messages across. In addition, younger consumers are most likely to check nutritional claims on front-of-pack. Although there has been some debate in the market due to things like portion size and lack of initial collaboration with nutrition professionals, Nutri-Score is the preferred choice by consumers for front-of-pack labeling. A 2019 study by Nutrient showed that Nutri-Score is the most effective style of front-of-pack label for helping consumers rank products according to their nutritional quality. Shortly after, in October of last year, the German Federal Ministry of Food, Agriculture, and Consumer Protection, called BMEL, conducted a consumer research study and showed that Nutri-Score was the most popular labeling system with consumers. Not only is it preferred, it seems that Nutri-Score supports sales according to a recent French article published in RIA News. When information is displayed on pack, the performance of the products best rated by the Nutri-Score program is even more tangible. On product categories, the A or B ratings increased by 0.5 and 0.4% respectively in the number of units sold. D and E ratings, however, decreased by 2.4 and 1.1% respectively. Front-of-pack labeling will continue to increase across the globe. In Europe, we see that the number of new product innovations tracked with the Nutri-Score label on pack has significantly increased since coming into force, with even more expected in 2020 with the implementation of this system in further European countries. In France, Belgium, and Spain, Nutri-Score labeling is currently seen across almost every category. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see examples of Nutri-Score being displayed on pack in several European countries. The traffic light system in the UK is another European system that has gained a high amount of awareness, with roughly 50% of consumers aware of the label and 44% who are actively looking for it, with almost 3/4 of consumers either interested or very interested in seeing this label on more food and beverage products. Currently, the traffic light system is on a range of products from beverages to bakery items to dairy and sauces. VoxPopMe, an innovative platform for instant access to the voice of the people, was used to analyze qualitative data and let us hear from consumers. Consumers made selfie movies to answer specific questions using their smartphone, tablet, or laptop. In Latin America specifically, this research was done in Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil. And front-of-pack labeling was also deemed as an important way to identify if a product and its ingredients are healthy. Many of the consumers identified that they look for the amount of sugar, fat, and fiber when looking at labels. Other aspects mentioned were that consumers wanted simple, easy-to-understand messaging on pack that can help them to determine if a product is healthy or not. Let's take a look at what a few of the consumers had to say. I look for the labels in which they state how much sugar and protein the product has, where I can see the ingredients it contains and the percentages. So just by looking at the package, you can figure out whether it is healthy or not. And lastly, basically what I always read is the nutritional content table, the ingredient labels that food products have, and in the case I don't understand the label or there's an ingredient I don't immediately know what it is, I search on the web to make it clear for me. As we just heard from this last consumer in Colombia, we see that physical food and drink labels are no longer the only source of information on the product details, ingredients, and nutrition labeling schemes. Consumers are using more and more technology to help their purchasing decisions, whether it is for researching ingredients, specific products, or health claims, as well as using apps to help decipher food labels and scoring systems. There is an increasing access to wearable devices and technology which can advise us on what our body needs and how we are feeling or performing, meaning that personalization of dietary and health plans will become more and more accessible. Some examples are Open Food Facts, Yuka, and ScanUp, just to name a few. At the end of the day, consumers are looking for factual information about the products they purchase in an easy-to-read and easy-to-find format. They prefer to be trusted and empowered to decide for themselves what to eat and what to limit. In order to help the consumer around the globe, there are different systems in place, driven by governments or leading industries, that could help consumers make their choices more easy and give them peace of mind. Let's empower consumers to feel confident about their food choices. As I showed earlier, many different systems to showcase nutritional information exist around the globe. We have picked a few to dive into for you today. Isabel will now take you through them, starting with Nutri-Score, a French system finding its way in different European countries.
Thank you, Monica, for sharing this nice overview of marketing and consumers' insights. Indeed, I will kick off this part with two front-of-pack labeling systems from Europe. The first one is the French Nutri-Score system. The Nutri-Score logo is showing the nutritional quality of a food product and is ranging from A, which is green or favorable, to E, that is red or unfavorable. The system works in a way that you collect points per 100 gram or per 100 milliliters of a food product and not per portion size or per serving. So negative points are collected for components that are perceived as negative, which are energy, saturated fats, sugars, and sodium. The positive points are coming from the amount of fibers, proteins, fruits, vegetables, nuts, or certain oils. And then you balance the negative points against the positive points, taking some other rules into account, and check in this table at the right the final points. In which range do they fall, and which is the resulting A, B, C, D, E score and corresponding color. It is important to realize that front-of-pack labeling systems are always a simplification of a more complex nutritional situation, and thus are also criticized for their shortcomings. Two examples in that context: total fat and total sugars. They are both perceived in all systems as negative without exemption. However, you know that some vegetable oils, like olive oil, do have a lot of beneficial nutrients, or in the case of our slow-release carbohydrate Palatinose, that has a lot of nutritional benefits, but it is unfortunately also counted under sugars. Within our Benio Technology Center, we have already developed many recipes that can be improved in Nutri-Score by using Benio ingredients in different types of applications. As an example, you find here a recipe of a reduced sugars strawberry yogurt. 85% of the white yogurt base is mixed with 15% fruit preparation to obtain a strawberry yogurt. The final yogurt is reduced with 30% in total sugars by replacing the biggest part of the added sucrose in the fruit preparation by Orafti Inulin and reducing only a small part of sucrose in the white mass. Furthermore, there are no high-intensive sweeteners or flavor modifiers added in this recipe. Orafti Inulin is a prebiotic soluble fiber from chicory roots and thus results in a high fiber nutritional claim in this reduced sugars yogurt. And depending on your local legislation, it will also be possible to bear additional health claims, such as promotes digestive health, that is unique for Palatinose Inulin and reduced blood glucose response. Our invisible Orafti fibers have sugar-like physical and sensorial properties, and therefore the perfect clean label ingredients to use for sugar reduction in a wide range of applications. Our functionalized rice starch Remypure is a worldwide clean label texturizer and can be added to optimize further the texture and mouthfeel of the yogurt. This starch is highly stable in severe process conditions, such as high shear, high temperature, or low pH. When looking to the Nutri-Score calculations, we obtain a great achievement by implementing our Benio ingredients because we move from a C score for the reference to the dark grain A score for the reduced sugars yogurt, which is the best score that you can have. Because the Nutri-Score is taking also the fiber points into account, besides the other positive and negative points, our functional fibers are ideal ingredients to improve the Nutri-Score of many other products, such as bakery products, beverages, confectionery, and so on. To support our presented recipes and inspire you, our marketing department has prepared a number of concepts like this one. Yogurt has already a quite healthy image, but consumers are well aware of the level of sugars that is often used in these tasty dairy treats. And that's why they aren't too happy with a C score for their yogurt choice. As yogurt is a milk-based product with a natural halo, adding artificial sweeteners in order to boost the Nutri-Score is not something brands like to do. So here is a better option. This concept shows that a fruity yogurt can be offered with an A score by using the prebiotic fibers from Benio. Let's turn now to another well-known system, namely the traffic lights from the UK. For this system, you need to know the amounts of fat, saturated fat, total sugars, and salt per 100 gram or 100 milliliters. If you have determined that, you can check in the table in which range you fall and which is the color assigned. Then you calculate the amount of these components per portion or serving size of the respective food and put these values in the respective icons for energy, fat, saturated fat, sugars, and salt. In the upper part of the icon, the amount of the nutrients per serving must be given, and in the lower part, the percentage resulting of that food to the overall daily reference intake for that nutrient. Compared to the Nutri-Score, the UK traffic lights have no overall summarizing score at the end. Biscuits are generally rich in fat and sugar, which have both an important effect on the texture, mouthfeel, and taste of the final biscuit. So therefore, it's not always easy to develop good sugar or fat-reduced biscuits. But this challenge can be turned into new opportunities by using Benio ingredients. Our Benio Technology Center developed already plenty of bakery recipes that are improved in nutritional values. Please feel free to contact us afterwards if you would like to receive additional information about a certain application. Isomalt is a bulk sweetener coming from sugar of the sugar beet. It is very low hygroscopic, this ideally to use in, for example, powder mixes. It can easily be used to replace one by one all the added sugars in this recipe, while safeguarding a nice biscuit color and mild sweet taste. A native pre-cooked rice starch can be added to further optimize the hardness or crunchiness and reduce the mechanical breakage of biscuits if needed. On top of the icons of the traffic light system, the portion size is mentioned, which is in this case 40 grams or 4 biscuits of 10 grams. Below the icons, you find the energy value per 100 gram of the product expressed in kilojoule and kilocalories. The values inside the icons are expressed per portion size of 40 grams. By taking out all the added sucrose and replacing it by Isomalt, there is only 0.12 grams sugars per portion of 40 grams biscuits left. This results in less than 1% of the daily reference intake and a nice green color for sugars. Is it not a great solution for consumers that want to eliminate the intake of sugars while still enjoying a delicious biscuit? I think so. Moving now to another region, the Americas. Basically, the US Facts Upfront system is a one-to-one transfer of the information that is given in the nutrition facts panel on the back of food products to the front side of the food packaging. Remarkably, there is no interpretation of the values given by a certain color, so it's a relative neutral system. Facts up front are based on a serving size, and the basic information consists of 4 icons. One for calories, saturated fat, sodium, and total sugars. This set of 4 icons can be complemented by 2 optional icons, for example, dietary fiber or protein. But these optional icons can only be used if the nutrient meets certain criteria. And finally, the percentage of the nutrient resulting of that food to the overall daily reference intake for that nutrient is given in a percentage in the lower part of the icon. As an example for the US system, we have here a breakfast oat chocolate drink containing Palatinose and Orafti Inulin. As introduced before, Orafti Inulin is a prebiotic, plant-based soluble fiber, while Palatinose is a healthy sugar that is derived from sugar beets. Palatinose results in a slow release of glucose in the blood, whereby it is a low glycemic sugar that is fully but slowly digested in the human body. If you compare it with the curve for sucrose in the graph below, it gives a narrow but very high glucose peak in the blood, which results also in the need of high insulin levels. Another positive point is that you will have no negative glucose peak in the blood when consuming Palatinose, while you can have this energy dip when eating food with high amounts of sucrose. If you replace 30% of the total other sugars in your food product by the healthy sugar Palatinose, it will be possible to use a reduced blood glucose response claim in Europe. For the US, it is needed to have at least 10 grams of Palatinose per serving size to use this structure function claim. Furthermore, Palatinose has a pleasant, mild sweetness and is very resistant to low pH and heat treatment. A portion size of 240 ml contains only 220 calories, while saturated fats and sodium levels are even 0. The chocolate drink consists of 14 grams isomaltulose per serving and 5 grams of fiber, resulting in a high fiber claim. As there is more than 10 grams of Palatinose per serving, it is possible to make a reduced blood glucose response claim. The structure function claim for sustained energy, which is starting from 15 grams of Palatinose per serving, would be possible to use when increasing a little bit the Palatinose level in the recipe or slightly increase the portion size up to 250 ml. And last but not least, this tasty dairy-free drink fits very well within the plant-based trend as consumers are looking more and more for healthy dairy alternative products. And here with this concept, we want to show how you can promote the nutritious quality of palatinose, the slow release carbohydrate energy via an easy to understand logo at the front of the bottle. With a combination of quality carbs and prebiotic fiber, the consumer can breeze through his day full of confidence and motivation, knowing he's made the better choice for a healthy start of his day. And now we turn to the traffic lights from Ecuador. Compared to the 3 systems before, which were voluntary, this is a mandatory system. That means it has to be used on all foods marketed. The entry to the system is a bit like in the UK. You need to know the amount of the total fat, the total sugars, and the salt, meaning the sodium content, per 100 grams or 100 milliliters of a food product. With that content, you look up in which range you fall and correspondingly have a low or green, medium or yellow, or a high red content. As the color ranges of this system are relatively broad, it is not always so easy to find good examples to display differences between a reference and the sugar or fat-reduced product. This explains also why the system is not yet so popular in Ecuador. This reduced sugars ice cream with Isomalt does show a difference in colors compared to the reference. Isomalt is again used as 1-by-1 bulk sweetener to replace part of the added sugars, and the resulting product has a nice texture, mouthfeel, and pleasant flavor. The hardness and scoopability of the sugar-reduced product will be comparable to the reference ice cream because Isomalt has a similar freezing point depression as sucrose. Because of the 30% reduction, the total sugars content in this ice cream recipe is going from 19 to 13%, which results in a change in color from red or high to yellow or medium in total sugars. The total fat content is already medium, while the sodium or salt content is low. Thus at the end, you have an attractive color plate for this indulgent and tasty ice cream recipe. So here, again, a very nice concept for this Love It Sweet ice cream with Isomalt that is reduced in sugars. So no red signals at all on this tasty ice cream. And within its category of indulgent food items, this product will draw the buyer's attention as the better choice. Let's have a look now to the last system of today, which is the Health Star rating for Australia and New Zealand. This system is rating the overall nutritional profile of a packaged food based per 100 gram or per 100 milliliters. It assigns a rating from half a star to 5 stars, with 5 being the best rating. The final Health Star rating is determined by using the Health Star rating calculator in 6 steps. First, in step 1 and 2, you need to select the correct food category and define if the food is consumed as such or prepared. In step 3, you need to calculate the baseline points, the so-called risk factors, which are energy, saturated fats, sugars, and sodium. Then the positive points are taken into account, such as fibers, protein, fruit, vegetables, nuts, and legumes. The final score for the product is calculated in step 5, and in step 6, you need to use the Health Star rating table, where it becomes visible which star rating a product will receive, based upon its final score and the food category it belongs to. So this is already a very complex system. In this recipe, long chain length inulin can be used to replace 30% of the total fat and saturated fatty acids in Frankfurter sausages. Thanks to the Orafti creaming effect, the inulin chains form under high shear a three-dimensional network of particles in a water-based system. And these particles are similar in size as fat droplets. Therefore, inulin can mimic the fatty mouthfeel and structure, resulting in a reduced fat sausage, which is similar to the full fat reference as confirmed by our taste panel. The sausages with inulin have also a very good knack and bite and a pleasant taste. Besides reduced fats, you can also make a source of fiber claim, and an additional health claim such as digestive health is possible, depending, of course, on the conditions of use of your local legislation. In the health store rating, sausages are classified under category 2. By replacing the major part of the back fat S8 by Orafti inulin, the fat content is reduced from 23.2 to 16 grams per 100 gram sausage, and the saturated fats are decreasing from 9.3 to 6.4 grams. The lower calorie content for inulin compared to fat results also in a reduced energy content of 200 kilocalories per 100 grams for the reduced fat sausage compared to 257 kilocalories for the full fat reference. The sugars and sodium levels are comparable for both recipes, while the fiber level is 0 for the reference and 4.8 per 100 grams for the reduced fat sausage. These values altogether result in a health star rating of 1.5 for the full fat and a rating of 2.5 stars for the sausages with inulin, which is a very nice achievement. In the convenience segment, it isn't always easy to find a barbecue option with an improved nutritional profile. So this concept with a no-bother Frankfurter will stand out as the better choice amongst the other knackwurst sausages. Grill this reduced fat Frankfurter on the barbecue with nice weather, serve it on a whole grain bun with some salad, and you sneak in a balanced meal without your kids knowing it. So with this said, we are coming to the end of this webinar. We hope that we could convince you how easy it is to improve your front of pack communication by using Benio ingredients. But before closing this session, let's have a quick look to the questions that came in. Okay. I will first answer this question. The question is, the last recipe that you presented was about sausages, but has Benio also ingredients in his portfolio to make meat substitutes? Yes, thanks for asking this. Because of the limited time, we can unfortunately not show all our ingredients during a webinar session. We have textured wheat proteins in our portfolio that can be used to make meat alternative products. We have tested them, for example, already in different types of vegetarian burgers, nuggets, sausages, and so on, with very good results. If you want to have more information, you can always have a look on our website, www.benio.com, or you can send us later on a mail. Okay, second question. You have shown a recipe from a dairy-free drink with Palatinose, but can you give also some other examples in which type of products we can add Palatinose? Well, Palatinose can be added in many food products. Because it's a low glycemic sugar and not broken down by low pH, it is very suitable to use in all types of food products for sports people. For example, in sports gels, energy bars, sports drinks, biscuits, and so on. Sucrose is not stable at low pH, and therefore it is broken down in glucose and fructose, resulting in an increase of the amount of molecules in solution and a difference in osmolarity, while this is not happening with Palatinose. So I suppose to hand over now again to Monica, because there are also some questions for you. Monica?
Great, thanks, Isabel. I also see a question about Palatinose, and it was, how does Palatinose fit into front of pack messaging as it's labeled as a sugar? Well, we know that the concept of quality carbohydrates is a credible one for consumers, and that they believe that some types of sugars are better for their health than others, citing differences between what they perceive as a good and bad carb. We know that carbohydrates are an important part of the daily diet, and those that can provide consumers with health benefits, such as a lower rise in blood glucose, supporting weight management, and supplying more steady energy supplies will resonate with consumers. So I guess one way to communicate about the benefits of Palatinose specifically on pack is that it's a slow-release carbohydrate, and you can use the simplified messaging and clear logos on pack, and there were some examples in the presentation. This can help consumers better understand the ingredients being used. And as I mentioned, one example is to clearly demonstrate the blood sugar curve of a high glycemic carbohydrate, such as sucrose, versus Palatinose, which is a low glycemic carbohydrate. Okay, so now for the second question. So what current market trends are driving front of pack labeling? Oh, that's a good question. Well, there are many trends that impact the front of pack labeling and messaging. For example, digestive wellness is a major trend that's here to stay, where we're seeing increased messaging in several categories. For example, with prebiotics, supporting the good gut bacteria, feeling good from the inside out, as well as immunity, for example, which also links to the trend holistic health, so looking at overall well-being and the impact that diet and a healthy lifestyle can have on that. As well as the clean label, transparent label trend, focusing more on natural, understandable, and sustainable ingredients. And I guess, of course, sugar reduction, which is really at the top of consumers' mind, driving a lot of change and innovation within the industry. So the key sugar reduction strategies really have to focus on balancing health, naturalness, as well as taste. And there are many strategies to reduce, remove, or replace sugar, for example, with fiber, or with naturally sweet ingredients, where other consumers are maybe looking for more quality carbohydrates, such as innovative sugars, which provide them with a health benefit, such as low glycemic, and therefore are willing to accept a higher sugar content if these ingredients offer them some sort of additional health benefits. So I'm afraid that our time has now come to an end, so that was the last question we can cover right now. We will close this webinar, but if your question was not answered yet, don't panic. As promised at the beginning, we gathered all of your questions, and we'll come back to you with an answer soon. Thank you for listening.